and it's recording everything, but see, like, or maybe this is the issue.
Yeah. So I can get it to not mirror.
Well, no, I want it to mirror.
No, because you want the presentation up there and you want your thing here. Yeah,
Wait a
you don't want mirrored.
Wait.
Okay, so the objective of this is to get you aligned with your training and help you understand an idea or a methodology or a purpose behind your training. And the reason for that, it's not like you might not be aligned with your training right now, but the main purpose of that is that the assault bike, 50 calories for time, can get really difficult, like to the point where you question why you're doing it. We did Grace yesterday, 30 clean jerks for time. You know, halfway through that thing, you might be going, dude, I can totally just go do something else, or I can just do whatever. And whether you're thinking that or not, there needs to be purpose behind it. Because even if you're not thinking that, when you understand the objective behind training in general, and what fitness actually means, and what being functional actually means, and the application of getting everything aligned so you can perform to the best of your ability, becoming the best version of yourself doesn't become a cool saying anymore, it becomes a reality. And it becomes getting better than yesterday. It becomes becoming something that you didn't think you could do. And we talk about this a lot with your training, that it's not subjective at all. So it literally tells you whether you met the goal or not. And what happens a lot of times in real life is that we feel like we should have got the result that we didn't get. So you might feel like you worked hard enough to get a promotion at work. And I'm not saying that you didn't work hard enough. I'm just saying we don't know. It's kind of an unmeasurable task. And somebody else gets the promotion ahead of you. Maybe it was politics or whatever. But you felt like you deserved it. And a lot of times that happens with training, is we'll feel like we worked hard enough to get X, Y, and Z. And I'm not saying you did or did not, but the barbell does not lie. It's there. Can you pick it up or not? 50 calories for time with a 6-minute cap. Did you beat the 6-minute cap or not? And everybody in this room has an idea of what the best version of themselves are and what you're trying to become. But it's very it gives you a lot of self-actualization to say, ooh, that didn't lie to me. That told me whether I achieved my weight loss goal, achieved my weightlifting goal, achieved my running goal or not. And what will happen is it becomes very easy to get unmotivated when you don't reach those goals. It becomes very easy to get blindsided by the fact that it's just so stinking hard. And if you don't look at your training like sport or fitness like sport, and the purpose of this seminar, the longevity of it, 4, 5, 10 years, starts to get smaller and smaller. It becomes something cool that we start to do for a couple months, and then we don't do it anymore. So, Jonathan, or maybe it's enter. Yeah, that's not right.
I don't know why that is.
And then what?
There you go. There's arrows. We'll have to edit that part out.
So what I hit?
Forward.
Huh?
Forward.
Yeah.
And backwards.
Okay, this is forward. Okay. Perfect. So I'm going to try to read it because I'm horrible at reading out loud, but I'm going to read it out loud anyways. All right. I was that kid that in like 5th grade when the teacher told you to like what paragraph you're going to read, I didn't pay attention to anything. I counted how many kids were in front of me and read my paragraph to make sure that was good. But Tim Crockett actually sent this to me. This was not going to be in the presentation at all. I already had it made. And then he sent this to me and I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what we're trying to do. You can read along with me, but we often become consumed by our goals because we focus way too much on the outcome. Goals should be set not only on winning, but on the process of winning. Once you take your mind off your score and focus all your energy on improving yourself, you start dealing with the things that you can control, like how many times per week you train, who you train with, how much sleep you get, etc. This becomes attainment and accomplishment aren't the same. Accomplishment is all about outcome, like the score you got and what place you got. Attainment is the total of accomplishments and what you become as a person. Winning is more than just a way to measure outcome. It reflects who you've become as a result of your efforts. Focus on the process and the results will come. I want you to remember that as we go, yeah, it is, isn't it? As we go through this whole thing. And I want you to think about goals. When we set, maybe if that inspires you, you'll row across the Atlantic Ocean. But
I want you to set some goals for 2018. And today is going to be the last day that you can fill out your goal card for 2018. And maybe you don't have them yet, but hopefully by the end of this, then you'll have some goals. But here's what I want you to think about your goals. I don't really care what they are. I want you to set them so big and so crazy that as we go through this and you think about everything that could pop up, everything else seems so small relative to the goal. Everything that you could possibly think of that comes up doesn't even matter compared to your goal. Like, your goal should be driving you, and your abundance of goals should be driving you, that how early it is, how cold that is outside, the amount of margaritas or cheesecake or whatever this is, the 3 days a week at the gym, none of that even matters because it's so small compared to what gets you up in the morning to achieve your goals. And when you start thinking like that, you start becoming a winner. And a winner inside of the gym and a winner outside the gym. And we talked about this, setting you up for your 2018 goals, that you can set your goals in those goal cards back there for stuff that doesn't even have to do with the gym. That's not the goal. You've heard me talk about the fact that at Strongside we provide verticals, and we provide verticals to succeed. And that vertical to succeed is a platform. And those platforms allow you to do good in the gym and outside the gym. If you can think about achieving your goals inside the gym and you never thought in your life you'd get a pull-up or run a 7-minute mile or whatever you can come up with, and you do that, when the alarm clock goes off in the morning, you're probably not going to hit snooze 6 times. When you have the option between a healthy breakfast and a cinnamon roll, you're probably going to choose a healthy breakfast. You'll start making other decisions to be more successful and trusting and relying on the process. And that was the biggest thing about this. The goals are just the outcome of the process. And if you don't enjoy the process, and the whole point of this thing is to understand the process, then it's going to be very hard to achieve your goals. So, what am I not going to do today? So just to set the tone, I'm not selling a fitness program. And what I mean by that is there's not a single modality way to work out. And a lot of you guys have been with me a long time. I've never said that this is the only way that you can train or the only way that you should do anything. There's benefits of certain things, and you have exercise productivity, which we'll talk about. But I'm not selling a fitness program, and the whole point of this is not to sit up here and say, if you train at Strongside, it's the only way to train, and you shouldn't train any way better. Nope, not what we're going to talk about. What we are going to talk about is we're going to talk about training principles. And those principles can overlay into anything. And we'll talk about the training productivity of like why you would do one exercise versus another. But all of your exercises have principles. And it's the same reason that we can take somebody that's been here 4 or 5 years and can exercise at a very high skill level in the same class as somebody that's been here 2 days. Because we can challenge the elite and we can make things that are infinitely scalable. Because we'll always go back to these 3 principles. And all of your training will allow these 3 principles to happen. And we'll define that as far as functionality. So the first thing I want you to understand is why you train. And I don't mean the emotional reason. I mean like, why in the world is exercise a thing? Like, who started this, whatever. So the real reason is we don't have manual labor anymore. So when you start thinking about like, why? So these are called boutique gyms, right? Like CrossFit gyms, yoga Pilates gyms, kettlebell gyms, or whatever. They're boutique gyms, and they're on the up and rise, that's for sure. But weightlifting gyms, running gyms, where you operate like in one modality. And you'll notice that there's like virtually no equipment. Relatively, there's no machines, I should say. There's tons of equipment, but there's no machines. The reason for that is this is like true fitness. Like, we know that the machines are going to, for the most part, going to limit you. And the reason that exercise started happening anyways, way before machines and all that stuff in like the 1800s, was because there's no more manual labor. We had to do things to try to get fit to mimic the manual labor because we were developing machines and other tasks to take that manual labor away. So that's all exercise is mimicking manual labor or functional exercise. We've become a very sedentary society, so everybody has to work out to lose weight or get fit or whatever to acquire something that we once had. And you'll notice the bottom of that says sitting is the new smoking. Absolutely. But we've put ourselves in a position where there's no activity. So not only do we not have manual labor, but we don't have any activity. And I'm not telling you to quit your jobs and go start a farm. What I'm saying is that, okay, this is our life now. We operate off, not that I don't have an iPhone, I'm just saying it's iPhones and it's navigation and there's no, like people get frustrated that the 60-second instant oatmeal isn't fast enough. Like, that's our society. I love it. I love snapping my fingers and things are done. I love it. But you also need to understand that that's why exercise itself takes place, and that's why there's so much work around functionality. And that's why things to acquire are so hard. So, where's it at? Oh, yeah. I got mixed up. I was looking at the slide ahead. So, exercise programs were invented to mimic manual labor and functionality. I already said that. Okay. So then what happened is throughout all that, there becomes all these fitness crazes. Keep the word fitness in your brain for a minute. So there becomes all these fitness crazes. Zumba, CrossFit, there's step aerobics, the Bozu ball, like stability exercises, there's kettlebell classes. Think of anything that you want to achieve, right? Everybody's marketing is fitness. I want you to get fit, acquire fitness. I guess fitness gets me to my goals, stuff like that. So there's a huge fitness craze. And, you know, you guys know it's been going on for a while, but it's kind of like the elites are starting to emerge as like what is actual fitness and who's going to stay there. And you saw some drop off throughout the years. That's a whole other thing. But you think about it, like, what is fitness? So, like, everybody's saying it, but do we really even know what it is? So I want to get fit. Right now, when I say get fit, I'm not saying anything, and you're not hearing anything, because everybody in this room has a different definition or idea of what you think fit is. So the first thing we have to do is define it. So the guys who started Dynamax, these medicine balls over here, have 10 general fitness skills that you need to be able to achieve. And when you start thinking about fitness and you start thinking about your training, so we're going to map out what fitness is and what training is before we talk about how to apply it to sport. But there's 10 general physical skills that all humans should be able to do. And that is cardiovascular endurance, stamina, strength, flexibility, power, speed, coordination, agility, balance, and accuracy. You'll notice that the top 4 are more muscular, the bottom 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, are more neurological, and the middle 2 are outcomes of the top and bottom. So the middle 2, 5 and 6, power and speed, those are results. Like think of your weightlifting, like drop under the bar faster, stuff like that, power and speed. Those are created through cognitive, like coordination, agility, balance, and accuracy. But we also need to increase your stamina, your strength, and your flexibility to make sure that you are strong. So not only are you strong, but you can communicate with your body. I mean, how often have you guys, like, I don't care how long you've been training, I swear the hardest thing to coach is a push jerk. Nobody understands how to double dip under that bar. What's that up here? You might press 300 pounds, but that double dip gets very difficult. So that's kind of think about that. So you don't got to remember those. This is all being videoed right now and Facebook Live. And I'm going to send all this back out, but yeah. Oh, really? Hey, guys. Could you keep it down just a little bit? Or you can go play in the lobby if you want. There's nobody out there. And there's heater. All right. Bye. So the 10 general physical skills. And that's what all of your training is really falling back to. So as we talk about principles, that's one of the principles, is that when we look at like a week of training, and so like when I program like a week of training that goes on here, I break everything down into minutes, and we look at how many volume of minutes of exercise we're going to get. You guys know that in about an hour we get 36 minutes of work done, and then I break that down into your strength training, your conditioning, and all that. And that's a whole other like programming conversation, but those are your 10 general physical skills that we're trying to improve. Fitness itself, though, is an intersection. So it's an intersection of all these things. And what that does is it shows us if we're not creating dominancy. And you don't want to be dominant. So when you look at fitness, it doesn't really benefit you to overly excel in one area. That's a specialist. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to participate in a sport and be the best weightlifter, if you want to be the best runner, if you want to be the best triathlete, that's fine. That's why there is a sport. And for that sport, you can be the best in the world. But in order to do that, you're going to have to sacrifice in other areas. Unless your goal is to become the best in the world at that specific sport, fitness doesn't really benefit you to be the best at that one thing. Also, being the best at that one thing will drastically improve or increase your chance of injury or your chance of body care need and stuff like that, because you're doing the same thing over and over again. So where is this intersection at? It is actually right below 285. No, I'm just kidding. But, all right, so it's an intersection of weightlifting, metabolic conditioning, and gymnastics. So think of it as 3 circles. So weightlifting, metabolic conditioning, and gymnastics. Where these 3 circles intersect that middle section is your fitness. And the broader that you can make that intersection, the better your fitness is going to be. Does that idea kind of sit with you? So you don't want to overly excel in weightlifting, by giving up too much of your cardiorespiratory endurance, meaning where I'm the heaviest squatter in the room, but I walk up a flight of stairs and I am gassed, or I am the stair monster queen, but I can't deadlift a bag of dog food. Or I can do 100 unbroken handstand push-ups. Look at me, I'm awesome. And then you can't overhead squat the PVC pipe. So that intersection of weightlifting, gymnastics, and conditioning, the broader that intersection for you as an individual, and we're going to talk about what your goals might be, the wider, the better. And he or she who has the wider spectrum, one, might be all over that record board because that record board tests all different kinds of things. Or it is becoming the best version of yourself. It's taking out that dominancy in what you were doing before. Not only do you become a better athlete, but you start to look at your fitness like sport, which we're about to break down a whole lot. But it also makes you healthier. It doesn't create dominancy, it creates health. And when we look at health, we measure it on a scale. And what we're trying to do is put you in a position to succeed by putting you in a position to not get sick. So Western medicine is defined by, are you sick or not? And I'm not telling you shouldn't go to the doctor. I'm not against doctors. I get that all the time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the job is to say, are you sick or not? The job is not to say, are you going to get sick in 10 years? And nobody can really tell you if you're going to get sick in 10 years. But if you can create fitness within your body, you can set yourself up to not get sick in 10 years. Because we look at this on this scale. And on one side, we have sickness. And on the other side, we have fitness. You know, I've talked about this before. I did a Facebook Live about it before. You have unordinarily sick, and you have unordinarily fit. And if we can make you unordinarily fit, then you won't get unordinarily sick because you have that middle. And that middle is wellness. And that middle part of wellness is however you want to measure it. How much I can squat, my blood glucose levels, my HbA1c, triglycerides, however you want to measure it. Blood panels, internal, external, a six-pack, huge biceps, whatever your goals are. Well, something's going to happen in your life. Something will happen. You will move. You will get a new job. Somebody might die. Something's going to happen where it ruptures everything in your life. And it's going to set you back. Maybe it's even just motivation. You get unmotivated for whatever reason. You go through a stint where you're just feeling like you're down. You feel like you lost your support system, whatever that could be. And that stint's going to bump you down in your fitness level. There's no way that we can deny that in life that's going to happen. But if you set yourself up for success, then you're going to be on this unordinarily fit side. And on that unordinarily fit side, once you teeter down your fitness, long before you ever get sick, you're going to be normal. Rather than normal, something happens in my life and I get unordinarily sick. What that typically is showcased as is, I'm fine, I'm healthy, I feel good, I've never worked out a day in my life, I feel fine, go to the doctor. I gotta get on blood pressure medication? What? My cholesterol is this high? I didn't know. I feel good, I feel good, I feel good. All of a sudden, I got a bad knee, a bad hip, a bad shoulder. I've never had any injuries before, and I need a hip replacement. Like, it's the immediate exposure. And even though we might be 40, 50, 60 years old, when that exposure happens, it still happened. And there's a really good Chinese proverb that says, people will spend their entire health to acquire wealth, only to spend their wealth to try to save their health. Because once that crap happens, it's almost irreversible. It's like the slowest, hardest process to go back from, rather than if we said, I'm just going to make myself as fit as I can possibly be. And we're about to define fitness and look at fitness. But if I can make myself as fit as I can possibly be, if anything happens in my life, I will just be normal. And then when I catch myself, when I get over that hurdle of so-and-so passed away, or I lost my job, or I moved and had to get settled in a new house, whatever, I can start getting back to that fitness. And that continuum will always keep, if you're always on that fitness side, the lab markers, the body composition, the mobility, the out of nowhere bad shoulders, bad knees, bad back, but I never got hit by a car or anything to cause that, start going away. So we have to look at definition. So what is fitness? So like now, you're probably like, I want it. I don't know what it is, but I want some fitness. So if you look at it, by Webster's definition, it's the condition of being physically fit and healthy, which absolutely tells you nothing. CrossFit came out with a really good definition, which I thought was really cool. Work capacity measured across broad time and modal domains, but nobody really knows what a modal domain is. What all they're saying in their definition, which is a pretty good idea, is long-term, short-term, heavy load, light load, gymnastics, and taking everything together and measuring it in different tasks and saying, okay, what if I did 150 wall balls? And then what if I did brace? And then what if I ran and did overhead squats? Give you a bunch of different tasks, collect different data points, and the better those data points are, the fitter you are. And that's pretty cool, and that actually overlays a lot into actual fitness. In general, it's doing the common uncommonly well. So when you can go up a flight of stairs, which is common, but you can do it uncommonly well. You start looking at things that other people view as exercise as life tasks. Like parking at the end of the parking lot and walking in is a life task. That is not, got my exercise in for the day, get that all the time. As a human society, we should be physically prepared enough to park at the end of a parking lot and not have to drive around for 45 minutes and walk into the front door. That's not even a thing. And I'll take it a step further. Hiking Kennesaw Mountain is like 1.25 miles. It's not easy. By any means, it's not easy. But you should enjoy that. That should not be something that you need to go take a nap after because it was so physically exhausting. It's difficult. It's allowed to be hard. That hill at the end is miserable. Great view at the top. Enjoy it with your family. Go a little bit farther. Go do a fun mud run. Go ride a bike, whatever you want to do. But it shouldn't overwhelm you with so much physical activity that you are exhausted because you had to go do something fun for a little bit. So doing the common uncommonly well, that's what I really like. So what is the objective of fitness? The main objective is to preserve functional capacity. So if you want to be the whole idea of being an athlete, so I know I refer to all of you as athletes, that's because you're training like athletes. Let's pause for a second and say the idea of being a professional athlete. CrossFit, I would even say regionals athlete, but CrossFit Games athlete or regionals athlete or a baseball player or a football player or a track star or a bowling athlete, whatever you want to say. That professional athlete is outside of the broad spectrum of general fitness. If you have a real job that you just want to be healthy and look good naked, that's what we're talking about, all right? So that's just preserving functional capacity. And that is general population or GPP, general physical preparedness. The person that can go do regular physical activity, your buddy calls you up and says, I want to go run the Peachtree Road Race, and you don't have a panic attack thinking that you didn't train for 6 months to go do that. It's 6 miles. You might not win it, but you can do it and survive and be okay. It's an hour. It's not going to kill you. And that's what you want to think about. That when I move around, it's not difficult. I don't want to break down, stuff like that. There's 3 foundation movements to create a functional human, all right? And those 3 movements are a squat, a sit-up, and a push-up. If you can squat, do a sit-up, and do a push-up, you are probably a very functional human. And the first thing is probably like, well, let's throw these barbells away and let's start just doing a squat, a sit-up, and forget that GHD, and a push-up. And I'm going to break down why you want advancement. Because this is where we go in this presentation from talking about it as an idea and a definition to talking about what fitness is, and now we're going to start talking about it a lot like sport. So your goal to create and preserve functional capacity is squat, sit up, and push up. You may have seen us do like totals and stuff where it's squat, deadlift, press, and those are cool. But like to really just be a foundationally functional human, you need to be able to squat, sit up, and push up. Those 3 things overlay really well into real life functionality. Think of functionality as something that makes everything else easier. They are exercises that look like daily tasks that allow you to become better at daily tasks. And that's the big goal. You're working out 1 hour a day, you're not working out for 23 hours a day. It shouldn't be difficult for you to move around or get in and out of cars or stand up or sit down or pick up things and put them on shelves. So those are just daily life tasks. And if we go back to that first slide, we don't have manual labor anymore. Well, when we start doing things like cutting the grass or whatever, real life things just have to happen. You're able to do it and you feel good about it. Because if you're not training in these 4 walls to make everything else outside of here better, then your training program is not doing you any favors. I don't care what program you do, but if anything you do in the gym is not making you better outside of the gym, then dude, it's 1 hour and it doesn't even mean anything. You can deadlift 500 pounds and go to the grocery store and nobody even cares what a deadlift is. It's what you get out of it, how you feel out of it. So we look at why these 3. So why these 3 are they deal with your big girdle movement, so your hip girdle and your shoulder girdle and your spine or your midline. So if you can have strong hips, strong shoulders, and a strong spine, you can probably do anything else that you want to do. All the cool things that you want to do are expressions. If you want to do a muscle up, you'll be a very fit person, but it's an expression. It doesn't have to happen for you to be fit and have low triglyceride levels. It's cool to do, and think about the amount of work that you have to do to get there, and you'll probably be a very fit person when you arrive at that, which we'll talk about. But those 3 movements, squat, push-up, sit-up, create strong hips, strong shoulders, and a strong midline. So let's look at the squat. Why a squat? So I know it's kind of like a funny picture, but think about all you do all day is squat. Like, I know that it's like the implosion of the internet to tell people to squat below parallel, and people like devote their lives to arguing that. But you think about how many times you get in and out of your car. Think about how many times you get on and off the toilet. Think about how many times you sit down and stand up at work. Think about how much you move around. You squat a lot, and it's probably way more than you've ever thought about before. I know we squat a lot in here, but you squat all day long, getting up and down off the ground, playing with your kids, feeding your dog, whatever. You squat a whole lot, and the goal is to make that easier. And what will happen is, I don't mean easier like squatting down to feed your dog is difficult. What I mean by that is, think of the structural position. One thing that a lot of physical therapists and stuff will look at is clientele over 70 and how much work they need to get to stand up from a chair. So if you can stand up from a chair, think about how often you use your hands to stand up from a chair and how often not. It probably means you have a weak midline. And you can tell almost instantly the deterioration of that person's body if they need assistance because they can't stand up from the chair. Sit up. I don't even have a picture for that. And I hope we can all agree that if you can't sit up off the ground, we need to work out. All right, so there's that. It doesn't mean that you're doing bad. It just means we got work to do. And then a push-up. So I'm gonna use this a lot. So the push-up, as far as breaking down different movements of it. So, oh, is the picture up there? Yeah, the picture's up there. It is kind of dark. But, so the push-up. So squat, sit-up, and push-up. If we can do those 3 things, then we're gonna be very, very fit. We do mean, though, with excellent position. So we're not saying point A to point B with a broken position. We're putting the expectation of a beautiful position on it, like open hips and no forward inclination. We're saying sit up with legs straight, no assistance. We're saying a push up with your elbows in and a full range of motion. And again, it's not like if you can't do it, you're doing bad. Those need to be the first 3 things you do. Think about your first day and how much you pressed a barbell over your head over and over and over again. Think about how many hand release push-ups you did. Think about, there's a reason for that. Think about how many air squats you did before I ever let you touch a barbell. Squat, sit up, and push up. Your first day probably looked like those 10 general skills: jump a rope, ride an assault bike, get a little out of breath, do some sit-ups. What are we doing? We're attacking your midline. I'm seeing your coordination, your agility, and how you break down. I know it looks like, good God, the assault bike again, but there's purpose behind it. And those 3 things will allow you to do everything else that you want to do. So how to improve it? So if you, 1, can't do it, or if you want to be able to do it better. So we kind of talked about, I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but when you look at so how to improve? First off, what am I improving? Whether it's hiking, going upstairs, whether it's getting down and playing with your kids, or if you're riding a bike. I don't have that picture up yet. And yeah, so anything that we already talked about a second ago, creating that better lifestyle for yourself. So then the question becomes, so how do I improve it? So the easiest way to improve it, think about this in your mind, the SAID principle: specific adaptation to impose demand. And I understand this isn't like an exercise physiology class, but specific adaptation to impose demand. What does that mean? New stimulus. You need new stimulus and you need new stress on your body in order to even get better. So if you think of anything that you do, if you do 10 air squats a day and you commit to every day, do 100, let's go crazy, 100 air squats a day, and you're going to do them unbroken, and you're going to go faster, whatever, it's still just 100 air squats a day. You're just squatting up and down 100 times. At some point, there will become a plateau. Your body, it hates what you're doing to it. Your brain loves it. Your brain loves all the hormonal releases and the physical aspect of it, and how it feels. Your brain loves it. Your body, think about like when you start caving in on squatting and stuff, it's very weak. It doesn't like to work, and it wants to find the easiest way to stay at a homeostasis point or a sedentary atmosphere. It doesn't want to advance. So you got to trick it. If you've ever heard about like muscle confusion and all that, that's all that means. So whether it's changing rest times, whether it's changing tempo, whether it's changing intervals, whether it's changing the amount of load that you do, the intensity, the duration of time, long time, short time, all of these are different entities to put you in, or specific adaptation to impose demand, and constantly varying the things that you do to allow constant progression. whether that's in load or intensity. And when you can break down your training like that, you'll start to get better, which is what a lot of I do programming and coaching for you and stuff like that. But look at your 3 movements. So squat, sit up, and push up. Not only do you need to do them, but once you achieve them, then you just achieved them. We need to excel at them. So we need to start looking at our fitness like sport and say, okay, well, I need to get better at those. What can I do to improve my ability in those? Because I don't want to just be like good at them. I don't want to just have them. I don't want to be able to just do a sit-up because you're going to hit that plateau. Like you can be, you don't have to look or feel the way you want to look and feel to do a squat, a push-up, and a sit-up. Like they're hard to do, but when you do them, you're probably going to have other goals. You're probably going to want to look and feel a certain way, or you're going to have other athletic goals that you want to do. But your premise of everything is squat, sit-up, and push-up. So fitness is sport. What is a sport? So when we start looking at improving the squat, sit-up, and the press. So the squat, sit-up, and push-up. It's a high-skill movement under fatigue. So any sport is high-skill movement under fatigue. What does that look like for you? It looks like blank for time, 5 rounds of, on the 90 seconds, different interval ratios, whatever. You are doing your sport of squat, sit-up, and push-up under fatigue. You don't get brownie points for having bad-looking wall balls in your 150 wall balls. You get brownie points for looking good. And I don't care if you're 120 in, the expectation is still all the way down, all the way back up. Rep number 1 has to look like rep number 150. So high-skill movement under fatigue. It's the breakdown of elements and practice. Any sport is a breakdown. You're not just looking for PR day every single day. I know that we want that. Everybody wants to. I did 100 pounds last week. I went to 101 this week, and then 102 this week. The game in any sport is the exposure. Whether it's the Olympics, 1 exposure every 4 years, that's a long training. Whether it's a baseball game, a football game, think of anything that you can think of. That is the exposure. They are not doing that task every single day. To get better at football, the team is not getting together and playing a full game of football every single day. What is broken in the game of football to break down the game of football to excel in football? So what that might mean is I can't squat. When I squat below parallel, my knees come up, I hinge forward, maybe I can't even go below parallel, that's fine. What are our subsidiary movements to improve that? Whether that is a Bulgarian split squat or a box step up or a lunge, or it could look like so many different things. And that's going to be per client. But it's the breakdown of elements in practice and practicing your movement to get better at squat, sit up, push up. A GHD sit up is going to make you a whole lot better at a regular sit up, assuming that you have the spinal mobility and stuff to do that, but using that as an example. Or the dynamics of a toe to bar, making you better at sit ups. You're creating that body that we talked about that is unordinarily fit, so it will never have to be unordinarily sick. It's quantifiable. It needs to be measurable. All sport is measurable. Did you win or not? So did you win against yourself or not? Are you improving or not? Not, I got hot and sweaty yesterday, I got hot and sweaty today, so I guess I got better. No, let's break it down. Did you jump rope yesterday? Did you jump yesterday? We were stepping up on a plate, and now we jumped on a 2-inch plate. You're a freaking winner. It doesn't have to be a 30-inch box. It is better than yesterday, and everything still applies in those tasks. Better than yesterday is based on training age. So if you've been here 3 weeks, then better than yesterday isn't going to look like somebody that is having their shirt off with a legless rope climb and just tattoos and 6-packs everywhere. Yeah, I'm sure if you come 4 or 5 days a week for 3 years, you'll look just like them too. That's pretty hard. It's improvement and advancement. So it's looking at the best version of yourself and improving upon what you did from yesterday. Keeping in mind that every goal of every training session is squat, sit up, and push up. And if you can, and it's not going to look like that every day. And we're going to break down some of these movements here in a second. But squat, sit up, and push up is always the goal. Sprinkle in cardiorespiratory endurance. Yeah, you need to get out of breath to be a fit person. But I'm saying functionality and fit and maintaining that body is squat, sit up, and push up. I'm not going to break down every movement because that would take a very long time. But let's just think about the press here, for example. So this is progression 1. So to paint you a little picture, most people can't do a push-up. I know I keep saying that's really basic. Most people can't do a push-up. And I get that phone call a lot. People be like, I got the Groupon, but I can't even do a push-up. Like, dude, a lot of people can't. And it's actually pretty difficult to do. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to do it. It should be there. So what do we start you with? I usually start you with a press, just to press the movement over your head. Get you comfortable, moving load, build some muscle, so on and so forth. As we go through this, your movements are going to look the same. So even though you'll come in and we're doing handstand push-ups, and ring dips, and whatever, and we'll scale it down to your ability level, that's fine. The foundation of your movement is still the same. You're allowing the athlete to showcase their ability level and their fitness level and the intensity level that they can give based on their ability level. That doesn't take away from somebody that's less fit than them, and somebody that's less fit than them shouldn't shy away from somebody that's more fit than them, because everybody's welcome and everybody's equal. We're all staying to the same premise of squat, sit-up, and push-up. You just may be a little bit more advanced in one of the other areas. So the press movement is just standing and pressing the bar over your head. We usually start you there. That's progression 1. The next goal is to progress you into the push-up. So all the way down, all the way back up, keeping your arms in. Why is it such a big deal to keep your arms in and come back down and come back up? It's not like these are like bad push-ups. The difference is, do they look like each other? So we're always holding ourselves to an integrity-based standard to say, do all my movements look like each other? Am I doing a push-up that isn't making me better at anything else? Because I don't do anything else like this. I press, I do a push-up, or maybe progression 3 is I do a ring dip. So I come here and I come down and up. They're all just different subsidiaries and progressions. If we said the push-up was the only standard, once you reach there, you'd be done. What we're doing is putting you in an atmosphere that asks you to succeed and constantly gets you better than yesterday until you achieve the push-up or you keep going. Because if we keep those 3 modalities in mind, then we can start doing things like handstand push-ups. It still looks the same. Press, push-up, ring dip, handstand push-up, and then maybe you're just fine and you start going away from the wall. Or maybe you start handstand walking. Or maybe you start going to a deficit. So we put plates up and you come down and then back up. Constant advancement of the fundamentals. Once you master the fundamentals, go back and do it again, except this time pay closer attention. It's always progressing your same fundamentals of squat, sit-up, and push-up. The exposure is based on intensity to the athlete. And we need to allow the elite athlete to succeed, the newbie to succeed, somebody that's never done fitness before in their life to succeed on 3 different modalities. But 3 different modalities all have subsidiary progressions to them. And that's where training and coaching comes into play. So fitness is very performance-based. So if you want to try to get fit and you want to try to perform and you want to hold yourself to those definitions, those modalities, we measure it based on performance. So not only are we going to talk about it like sport, we're going to talk about it a lot like performance. And when you start looking at your fitness as performance, motivation, drive, progression, all becomes second nature, because you're asking yourself to perform at yourself's highest ability level. And you're measuring your success on the objective of the WOD, the workout for that day, or you're measuring it based on the performance that you can give. There's 5 key elements that'll keep you in your fitness-based performance. Number 1 is working out. So working out, lots of intensity, attending class. I mean, I think that goes kind of without saying. Like, if you don't come, you're probably not going to get any fitter. So the more you come, attendance, stuff like that. Here's what we're doing, though, is we're making your goals and your fitness second nature. Those aren't our drivers. Your goal is not the driver. Your goal is an idea, and it's cool to reach, and it is an achievement. That's amazing. But it doesn't even need to be really on the front of your mind, except for this is why I'm here. What needs to be on your mind is the things that you're doing to achieve that. Because otherwise, we'll expect instant outcome. Because what did I say in the beginning? Your goal should be so big, so crazy, not unreachable, but so big that nothing else gets in the way. That goal is so important to you. It's not a good idea. It is so important to you that anything else you can think of doesn't stand in the way of it. And take fitness goals outside of that. Look at any other goal you have in your life and assess it the same way. Everybody in this room has financial goals. Everybody loves money. You go to work every day. And everybody loves their children and stuff like that. I'm not asking you to love your children less. I'm asking you to look at it and say, yeah, I choose different things in my life to allot my time to. Everybody does it. And some are more important than others, absolutely. But, you know, TJ Maxx will still be open tomorrow. And they're still going to be running sales. And, like, funny story, I wasn't even planning on saying this, but my wife texts me. I love her. But she texts me and she wanted to get this rug, but we needed to do some other things, and she needed to come to the gym, and she said, well, there's only 7 left. like on the website. And I just wrote her back and I said, do they hate money? Like, they're going to make more rugs. Like, there's 7 left now. The inventory is coming. What's more important? Is this, you got to get this rug right now, or do you really need to achieve your goal? And she said, I really need to achieve my goal. And it was coming in and doing whatever you set up for that task. And again, other things are going to weigh more than others. Your kid's piano recital probably overlays over fitness at some degree, but it's one piano recital. You get what I'm saying? You're weighing and measuring and asking what is the risk reward for other things. So there's attendance. That's going to be a big play to it. If you come in and you work hard and you measure against yourself and you track all of your stuff and you gauge on performance, you're going to reach your goals. The second is nutrition. It's probably actually percentage-wise more important, but everybody likes working out more than they like eating well. So nutrition is going to play 80% of your success. Don't look at it as like you're trying to do so well in your nutrition that you're trying to create a lifestyle. It's like, dude, my goals and everything that I want in life and everything that I could possibly achieve and my potential is based on that nutrition. That pizza is not going to do anything good for me. It's going to make me feel bad. I'm probably going to feel worse after it. It didn't get me anywhere. It makes me feel horrible about myself. And it gets me absolutely nothing. But everything that I want is on the other side of this. And point number 3 is your sleep. If you start focusing on your sleep and you start breaking your training down like that and you said, look, I need to get better at this stuff in the gym. Not only do I need to get better at this stuff in the gym, but I need to start doing the other things that allow me to get better in the gym. Not only are you going to start performing better in the gym, but your overall task of everything that you do and want to do will start getting better. When you start looking at things like flexibility and you say, you know what, I would really like to overhead squat more, or I would like to do whatever, holding to those measurements, class ends early, you don't want to stretch, peace. Like, it's, okay, am I taking 8, 12 minutes a day to really focus on mobility? Am I doing things like body care? Am I taking care of myself? Am I going to, like, if something hurts on my body, am I ignoring it, hoping that rest makes it better? Or am I actually addressing it to say, I need to get adjusted, I need to get a massage, I need to go do whatever, to take care of myself, to make sure that I perform better? So if we're looking at these 5 things and we say, look, I got these goals are so important to me and they're actually really what I want to do in life and they really make me the best version of myself, we need all 5 of those to happen. So you can't train 8 days a week and eat cookies and ice cream and expect anything to get better. And then you can eat really well and you'll probably be thin, but you'll have no functionality or mobility within inside your body. And then you can lift a whole lot and do no mobility work and don't sleep and don't take care of your body. You'll probably be a very injured person. You'll be really strong, but structurally you're going to be broken. You might be big and strong, not lean and strong. So if we look at those 5 elements going back to everything else, we start to look at fitness like sport. And we start saying that I want to improve in my sport. And fitness is, if you look at fitness like sport, you get the result that you want. So I don't know if you can see this, but we have Michael Phelps here, then we have Usain Bolt, and then this is some girls from the CrossFit Games. We've got LeBron James, Rich Froning, I don't know who that girl is on the bottom right. Just cool on Google. But so there's that. And any of those athletes, so I just picked like 6 pictures because no more can fit on there. Pick anybody you want, doesn't even matter. And you look at blank. Like, everybody wants to look and feel a certain way. Everybody wants to get something out of their body, physical, as far as feeling or emotional or, you know, whatever. But look at any athlete. Any of these athletes or anybody else is not waking up with the purpose, let's use Michael Phelps as an example, to say, I want to be lean, so I'm going to lower my calories or swim more or whatever, to be thin and be fit so I can swim better. No. The sport and the goal is everything that they need in their entity and in their life and in everything they want to achieve. Everything else to that is a subsidiary and a vertical that allows them to achieve that. So what you're doing is setting your own goals for yourself. You're looking at your exercise like sport. You're looking at the things you want to achieve and the body you want to improve and everything you want to acquire. You're not entering the gym every day saying, my only success is that I need to be thin and I need to overhead squat this amount. You're saying, look, I know that if I do this, this, and this, I'm going to look and feel the way I want to look and feel. I need to get this, this, and this. What are those things I need to do? Go back to those 5 key points. Don't ask yourself, I'm not successful because I didn't lose 30 pounds. Okay? How's your sleep going? Are you really focusing 100% on your nutrition? And I don't mean like 1 cheat meal a day. I mean like 1 cheat meal a month. Like, how detailed are you being with this? Because if you lose sight of that, your goal probably wasn't important enough. It was probably something that you didn't really want, and you might have been summiting the wrong peak, meaning that you wanted to do it because it was a good idea, but when you achieved it, you kind of fell off because you summited the wrong peak. It sounded cool to climb Everest, you climbed it, and you're like, well, it wasn't what you really wanted. You might not have an answer for that right now, but when you start looking at your fitness like sport, none of these people are saying, I need to look like those girls in the top right just so I can perform better at my sport. No, they're waking up every day. Did I train this much? Did I eat this well? How much did I sleep at night? My body hurts. I need to stretch. I need to take whatever. I'm not asking for fitness to overrule your life. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to mentally set yourself up for success by saying, look, I'm going to look and feel this way. These are the things I need to do. And I need to focus on the process and the attention to detail to achieve my goals. Again, are you really 100% focused on your nutrition? You came to the gym 4 times this week. Did you spend 5 minutes stretching out that hip and knee that's really been aggravating you so much that we've been talking about? You really complain about wall balls. Have you done an unbroken set of wall balls just to mentally suck it up a little bit? Did you do the pre-warm-up or the cool-down? Minutes. We're talking minutes that gets you magical success. So the next part of that is staying motivated. So after you're like, oh, okay, I want to achieve all these things, how do I stay motivated? Understand how performance works. Performance doesn't work as mandated success and PR days. Testing cycles are cool. We got 4 days left, or 3 or 4 days left of a testing cycle. And they're cool. But 2 things. Number 1, just because I said max back squat today does not mean that you are going to have your best back squat day ever. Who knows? Work went miserable. Your kid woke up in the middle of the night. You packed your food, but just crazy meeting. You didn't get to eat. Life happens. I get it. So it might not be your day. It is okay. And also, the better that you get, the smaller your performance is. We talked about that a lot this week. So think about a couple days ago for you guys that were here. I gave that analogy of like Michael Phelps. When that dude smashes everybody in the pool, and it's like Michael Phelps won. Nobody was even close. He didn't win by a length of a pool. He won by like his elbow length, and he destroyed everybody. There's people that win the gold medal in the Olympics. People don't even qualify, and they're a second apart. Like, the better that you get, the margin gets smaller. So people come in, and they'll be like we had one dude yesterday did Grace 30 clean and jerks per time in 1 minute and 47 seconds. Unless you're going to go to the CrossFit Games, I don't know. You're not going to have a 30-second PR on that. Like, he's not going to come back again and do 1 minute 15. He's going to get beat it by a second, beat it by 2 seconds. All of you guys have had your first year. What's your first year filled up with? 30-pound PR on my back squat. Oh man, there's a 50-pound PR on my deadlift. Enjoy it, because the better you get, that's going to get smaller. It doesn't mean you're doing worse. It means you're getting better. So much smaller. The Ironman triathlon since the 80s has only improved in world record time 6 minutes. 6 minutes on an 8-hour race. Because you're already so good, you're already so fast. In the 80s, they didn't even have carbon fiber bikes and goo nutrition and all that stuff. All that improvement, breaking everything down at the Olympic Training Center, looking at body screenings for your run, stride stuff, and we got 6 minutes on an 8-hour race. The better you get, the smaller the margin's going to be. And once you understand that, you'd be more okay with the fact that we have kilo plates. So your training needs to be purposeful. There needs to be a real reason other than I want to do this for somebody else or some other reason, or I saw something on a magazine, or I feel like I should, or whatever. There's a real purpose that you're here. And I know that it's real because we don't ask fake stuff from you. Like, this stuff slaps you in the face. There's a sled, push it from there to there. Can you do it or not? We're not done until you're done. Like, that stuff is real. And it's not just put a little bit of weight here, put a little weight there. We're not going to measure it. I don't know, do some flies or whatever. I don't know how much you did last week. I feel like stopping at 8. Like, none of that happens. There's percentage, there's time domain, there's this many squats, you do this much, there's repeat intervals, did you achieve it or not? And if there's not purpose behind that, the real life training like this that gets you stupid fit doesn't work because you won't put 100% into it. And I don't know if you got purpose behind it or not, but I'm saying there needs to be something that you need to fall back on, which goes into your next part is your why. And you might not have an answer for that today, but there needs to be a real reason of why you're doing it. And when you say the real reason that I get up and go to work every day is because of blank. You've been doing it 20, 30, 40 years. Why are you still doing it? There's a real reason for that. And it's probably something that we can all see, like to support your family or create a lifestyle that you want. Yeah, absolutely. But the why of your training is something that a lot of people miss. It's a good idea to get really fit and stay healthy and preserve functional capacity. It's a great idea. It's awesome. But when the going gets tough, if you don't have anything to fall back on, it's very easy to stop. So you need to define what you want to accomplish. And those are your goals. And I don't mean easy goals. I don't mean goals that don't mean anything. I mean some stupid goals. Like something that you're like, I'm going to have to become another person to reach this. No matter how good you get, you're going to have to challenge yourself to something that you didn't think you could ever do. And that's going to look different for all of you. It might not even look like a pull-up. It might look like 5 consecutive ring rows. It might look like get off blood pressure medication. It might look like something that doesn't look like the same for anybody else. But for you, it is summiting that peak that you wanted to accomplish and a why of what you're going to do to define your accomplishment. Love the process and enjoy it. If you don't love the process, if you don't love training like sport, it's not going to be enjoyable for you. It's very beneficial. It's what you should be doing with your training. It has a lot of productivity, meaning that when you do a snatch, for example, you are getting I don't care how much weight it is. You're challenging nearly all 10 of those 10 general physical skills. You're challenging range of motion, mobility, speed, strength, and it looks cool on Instagram. But you're getting so much out of that, and you're improving. But if we don't really love that process, and I'm not saying it has to be your favorite thing, but if we don't understand why there's snatch grip deadlifts and snatch pulls, overhead squats, and there's no why there's not going to be a love to that process. And there needs to be something for the greater good of yourself that you're chasing. And when you look at your fitness like sport, and when you look at your fitness as what you're really trying to achieve to get better, you're going to reach your goals. And the goals are going to be so stupid that you're going to have to become a different person to even reach them, and you're going to love it. And you're going to love every single bit of it. And when you look at your training like sport, you will constantly drive to be better. There won't be, if you say, I want to lose 30 pounds, that's a goal. That's great. That's not how you look at your training, though. If you're training, the only goal of your training is to lose 30 pounds. When you lose 30 pounds, you're going to feel empty. And all research shows us that you're going to gain that back plus an additional 20 to 25% within the next 3 years. There's no point in doing that. It can be a goal and a thing that needs to happen to be better at your sport. And when your sport gets better, and your push-up gets better, and your press gets better, and your handstand gets better, and you start winning to do all these physical things that you never thought you could do, holy crap, I've never looked this way in my life. My blood panels are so good. My doctor's so happy. That knee doesn't hurt anymore. I have this huge range of motion, and I am functional, and I'm fit, and I enjoyed the process, and I had a lot of fun with it. So the point of this was just to really kick off 2018 and say, look, I'm pumped. I've been doing this 11 years, and I don't know what it is, but 2017 kicked the crap out of everybody. I feel like there was like an 8-week stint where everybody was dying, and then everybody got really unmotivated, and it was just this world blew up. I've never seen so much crap happen, and then you guys are so pumped for 2018. I'm on fire for 2018 because you're on fire for 2018. We've never had that many goal cards filled out. We've never had this much excitement. Class participation last week was higher than average, even though whatever sickness got in everybody's body that catapulted everybody out of the gym. Attendance was still really high. You guys are pumped. And what I don't want to happen is be a February 15th where 80% of people, and I actually think that's even low, quit their New Year's resolution. And I'm not saying this is a resolution, but by February 15th. And I think it's low because I don't think that in general people understand the purpose behind the hard work of training. And when you understand your purpose and why you're here, you'll push through. And I want this to be your first time. Push through 2018, 2019, 2020, just keep going so you can be the best version of yourself. Cool? All right. If you guys have any questions,